Hello students, I'm Beth Whittington, and today I have with me Dr. Dan Brenenstuhl from International Business Seminars. Dan, I know you're a professor emeritus at Arizona State, and you also started what you described to me as a CEO experience abroad. Can you tell me a little bit about how this International Business Seminar experience is like a CEO experience?
Certainly, thank you. What we found was that it's not too difficult to travel abroad and do touristic kind of things. What we wanted to do was more your first business trip abroad experience. We wanted people to stay in the kind of hotels that a business would send you to. Wanted you to have experiences of meeting with executives who are involved in international business on a daily basis. Talking to the tourist manager of Innsbruck and talk about how do you market that as a city. Talking to a fashion designer, talking about the new trends in fashion, looking at a sports club and how they go about their business. Perhaps going and see an actual production of an automobile, from a roll of steel to the final car being driven out. See what those things are like and have an experience that relatively few people in the world have ever had. It gives you the opportunity to be treated like a CEO on an overseas experience.
Can you describe for me what an IBS seminar is like with the business program?
Sure. Every organization is slightly different, but we target for about 2 hours in length. We would come in, we'd be welcomed by the speakers. There's 1, 2, 3 speakers depending upon the company's preference. They would probably then do a short introduction to themselves, saying, here's who we are, here's the kinds of things that we do here. And maybe it's the headquarters, maybe it's a branch, maybe it's a facility in Zug, Switzerland of Johnson & Johnson, and they make insulin there, and they make the machinery to inject insulin for people. What is it that you do at the Zug plant for Johnson & Johnson Medical? And after that, then they would go into another topic that we would talk about, and maybe that topic would be a new product launch, or they might talk about doing business in a multicultural environment. They might talk about ways of training staff in Yugoslavia or Serbia or the Czech Republic or somewhere else that would be a little bit different than what they might do at home, and how they would operate in those overseas facilities.
So why do you think a student should study abroad, and especially why should a student study abroad with International Business Seminars?
Well, I think that today it's vitally important for a person studying business to know that it's a global industry. That every business today, every business is a global business. Your competitors, your suppliers, your distribution facilities are all somewhere on the international chain. You have a supply chain. We do a program with UPS in Italy that focuses on delivery of medical supplies. How does UPS specialize for medical supply deliveries? Critical things, they have temperature controls, time frames, and so on. And how do they do that in that kind of worldwide environment? So all of us now are living in a global sense. And I think the second part of that question was, how do we provide that as a better experience? And I think it's that most people don't try to meet with business leaders. They don't try to go in and get the insight to how do you do business. It's one thing to go to the Trevi Fountain in Rome, but it's another thing to meet with UPS and do this issue about the medical distribution line for them and how they go about doing it, or to be in England and meet with the Bank of England or Lloyd's of London, or different kinds of organizations. And we tend to take our people to those environments, introduce them to the fact that a German is quite different than an Italian, that a Frenchman has different systems of doing business than a Brit does, and effectively understanding, I think, that different means different. It doesn't mean it's better, doesn't mean it's worse. It's just a different way of doing things, and in every country, styles and approaches have developed based on the culture and the history of that country.
So how can a student learn more about IBS, possibly get enrolled, and maybe even get college credit?
Sure. The main thing we have is a website, and on our website you can go through the whole enrollment process. You can get quite a bit of information. There's an application you can fill out online. On every campus that we work with, there are faculty and advisors who can give you some insight into that particular course at the university. We have staff at our office who will call you, will email you once you've applied, ask you if you have any questions, follow up with you, help you with making decisions about your air flights or whatever it is that you may have some question mark about. And at every institution, the credit process is a little bit different. Normally it's a 3-semester-hour course, and there will be grades involved, and there'll be some academic work, and you're evaluated on the performance and participation that you have on the seminar. And there's a written paper that you need to do afterwards that talks about your experience and looks at the various organizations that we visited and what were the key points that you kind of realized from that particular presentation. And then a bit of an overview. What did you as a gestalt, what did you wrap up and find out about that particular 3 weeks of your life? I mentioned quite frequently that I taught for more than 30 years in the university, and I never once had a student walk up to me afterwards and say, "Professor, your class changed my life." On these seminars, about half the students say that. And that's just after the seminar's over, because I really believe it's 6 months or a year after the seminar's over before you really realize completely what you have learned. So it's quite a rewarding thing for someone in academics to see that outcome.
So IBS sounds like an amazing opportunity and a great resume builder. How can a student highlight this experience on their resume?
I suggest to our students that they put it as a bullet point right under their main university degree. So they may have a BS in marketing or maybe an MBA or whatever their degree is, and say International Business Seminars. And from my feedback from the students, what they've said is that every interviewer, every reviewer that they've come across asks them what that is. What is this thing here? And they have the opportunity to explain it. And they take a minute or 2 minutes to explain it. And almost universally, the students say the response of the interviewer is, "I wish my school would have had that. I wish I could have done that." And what it ends up doing is it makes that student stand out from everybody else that they're in the interviewing process. And it gives them kind of a leg up that they might not have had otherwise.